Yeah, we got on a train in Oklahoma, went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, got on a real big troop ship, carried 5,000 guys on it. I think the name of it was the Gordon. It took us 12 days and we ended up going up the Mediterranean. Well, somebody woke me up, it was dark, middle of the night. Somebody woke me up and said we were going past the Rock of Gibraltar. I said, that's good. I said, it'll probably still be there tomorrow too.
From Rochester, we went to Parris Islands. Our boot camp in the Marine Corps is on the East Coast is always Parris Island, South Carolina. The boot camp was about 20 some weeks or something like that. Well, when we first went in, they had just started marine aviation at that time, and what I could be thank God for, because otherwise we'd have been in the FMF, which is the ones that were going from island to island right up through, you know, hitting every island. They assigned me to the aerial gunnery school, and we had 15 planes in our squadron. They were B-25 Billy Mitchells, yeah, the B-25, PBJs we call them.
We left Fort Bragg and we went to Camp Dix in Camp Dix, New Jersey. And then on January the 13th, 1943, we took a train and went to Staten Island Terminal, where the USS Santa Rosa was. And we didn't know, at the time, at least I didn't, that what we were doing is getting off that ferry and in this big shed, and it had, you know, the stone walkways and so on. That door that we went going through was in the side of a ship. And the stateroom, I'm sure, held 12 of us. That was bunk beds. And it seems like they were 4 high, had 2 portholes, and it had a bathroom. So we could take a bath or a shower and could shave, and had a john in there, and the whole bit. We thought we had it made. The North Atlantic in January was beautiful. You couldn't ask for a brighter day or nights, just gorgeous. But they had ground swells, not waves that come up and have a surf and all that. They were just big rollers. And that ship did everything but ride on its tail over there. At first it was down in front, up in the back, and down in the back, up in the front, and it would roll side to side.
My brother's in the paratroopers. He jumped into southern France. I landed at the dock there at Marseille. It was in January. It's colder than a son of a gun. I thought I was going to freeze to death, because we stayed there for a couple of weeks and we slept in pup tents, you know, in the middle of the winter. But I was glad when we started moving, because it's even worse. It's even colder when you got to stay in one spot for too long. At least when you're moving, you can figure, well, maybe I'll get into a warmer place. But spent a lot of time out sleeping on the ground. We were part of a combat team. The 222nd Infantry was the other half of our team. And every battery followed, the battery was 4 guns. They followed that same group of infantry. Wherever they went, we went. Because we were quite close a lot of times. You know, you could hear the burp guns. So you hear those, you know you're close.
They asked for volunteers, so I volunteered to be an air gunner, and my brother did too. My brother did too, but at that time, it was right after the Sullivan brothers had been killed, you know, and there was 3 of them that was killed all at one time. They knew if I was to be an air gunner, I'd be flying in combat, see. So they wouldn't take him as, but when we first went into school, we had to go through a Marine AMM is the Aviation Machinist Base School, and that was a 21-week school or something like that. It was the history of how the planes were built and how they were built, and the story, the whole business of the aircraft. And we always call our squadron the VMB 423, the Seahorse Marines. We'd take off every morning and we'd go fly over a certain area and we'd look for planes that had been shot down, you know. And they'd shot our planes down and where they were, so they could either go pick them up or something, you know. And so, anyway, that was our main targets at that time was their anti-aircraft guns or their manufacturing plants. Oh yeah, we always wore the May West. So what we call the May West was always wore the May West is the because you're always flying over water. That's the inflatable life raft, and they had the thing on the side, and you could just pull the thing and it would inflate itself. See, inflate itself, and. But you always wore that, and you wore the harness because the harness you wore over, but just had buckles on the front. We never wore the chute because our chutes was too cumbersome. So anyway, the chute just hung in the plane on this wall. So if you ever had to bail out, which thank God I never had to, if you ever had to bail out, you had to come and get the chute and then hook it onto the harness. Before you snap it on your harness like this. They had little hooks on the harness. The belt, the harness you wore along over the May West, you wore this harness. See. There was no way we could have got out of that plane because you could stand right on that back hatch. You could step right on that back hatch, and when you're flying, the air you couldn't even force it down.
Well, I was chief of sections, which is, I was in charge of the one gun. I took the commands from the lieutenant and passed them on to the guys, you know, what charge, left or right, up and down, and so forth. So, it wasn't a real hard job. The hardest job was keeping warm. The one thing we did do, the chief of sections, when we moved into a new position going forward, we went forward with the captain to pick the new gun position. So we went ahead of the gun crew. And when they come up with the gunner corporal, if there's a fire mission, the gunner corporal handled the crew while I was gone. Usually, well, one time he took us past the infantry. I didn't like that too well, especially when they started firing at one another down the bottom of the hill from me. When you find yourself in front of them, you don't know what's coming next. You'll have to get your fanny shut off. In fact, I did, as I come up, let's see, that was one of those towns before we got to Munich. There was I looked over in the ditch. There's a lieutenant laying there. He was deader than doornails. And he was just as neat. His clothes weren't dirty. He was an infantry lieutenant. Clothes weren't messed up or anything. You know, like he just laid down there and went to sleep. He shot right in the middle.